accessible area, easy to get downtown, easy to get on the interstate. It's just a great location. Our designer has selected incredible finishes that will amaze you. Available homes right now that start in the lower 300s.
Call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your dream home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Load up on meat and more this winter at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through February 18th is 15% off chocolates, 15% off wines and spirits, and $10 off filet mignon per pound. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
The Lincoln forecast for today, snow continuing throughout the day. And it will be cold. We'll see an afternoon high of just 13. Tonight, decreasing clouds and a continued cold, a low of 8 below. And tomorrow, we'll see mostly sunny skies and it will be breezy. An afternoon high near 23. Meteorologist Kyle Clutcher for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Hey everyone, Lance here with Black Label. We specialize in creating custom crafted decks, pergolas, patio covers, and more. Plus, our retractable screens, gazebos, and patio enclosures create the ultimate outdoor retreat. With over 50 years of combined experience, we're not just builders, we're creators of unforgettable memories.
Call them today at 402-730-6333 or visit blacklabelbuilt.com for a free consultation.
Let's turn your backyard dreams into reality.
Black Label Built, built to serve, built to last.
Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall. Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air,
and Electrical.
This is On the Block with Strick and Alton. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, Jay Foreman. Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Presented by NEPCO. This is On the Block.
Welcome in a snowy Wednesday edition of On the Block. Austin Norman with you here at 1040 O Street. Jay Foreman will be in an hour or so. But joining me for the first hour of On the Block today, my guy, Eric Softy Strickland. What's up, Softy? A little snow got you scared? You're not big Softy anymore.
You really want Stricky to be on the side of the road somewhere. There's been notations. There's been notations of there's already been, some struggles. And the fact that your mom-in-law made it, yes. Oh, I'm glad she made it. She might have a Jeep Wrangler, Jeep snowmobile or whatever she got is gonna get her there. That's good. I know the limitations of what my car can do. It is Florida raised. It is not Nebraska born. So yeah, no risky for me.
No risky.
I'm close. I'm close to working with a doing some stuff with the dealership to get an all-wheel drive. I feel comfortable. I can do it, and I made it through last winter, but it's because I can, I know how to drive a little bit, but you get caught in the right situation. And, I ain't going to lie. There was a couple times, it has some slippage, but you don't panic if you don't learn how to not to panic. Living in Nebraska and as well as in Montana and places like that, I've kind of known how to do that. But at the same time, man, all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, even if I have front-wheel drive, I trust it a little bit better than having a rear-wheel drive car, especially, you got to put sand bags in the trunk and all kinds of stuff just to give you a little bit more weight. But there's at least, I say, Austin, there has to be at least, there was 3 times, one where I barely made it. I kind of got stuck, and if it wasn't for couple of nice gentlemen, one of them happened to stop. I think we talked about it on the show. Actually, it was a listener of the show that just happened to be kind of passing me by. I was like, Strick, what are you doing? And you need some help. Yeah. So he was able to kind of get me out of the little situation. Otherwise, I would have missed On the Block that day.
Well, I appreciate that you are safe. I'm glad you're warm, and I'm just giving you a hard time. I'd rather have you around for more shows moving forward. So you probably made the best decision for you. I do want to get to this from the text line, though, Stricky. Thunder Not Collins. Stricky is on that captain level. I thought he was better than that.
What do you mean? Look, Cubs, listen, that's Thunder Not Collins? Oh, shoot. Listen. The one, I don't even got my cap on to throw it right now. Otherwise, I would have tossed it. I'm looking around right now. Can I find one? No, but seriously, no, you already know, and I don't even have to say that. Stricky be in the building. In majority of the cases, if I'm in Nebraska, and there's no storm and no issues like this, I'm in most instances there. Matter of fact, I remember, Austin, when we had the tornado, the one, it passes over the route that I take to get home on Highway 6. And it over there off of 6 going towards the back way to get to 80, out before you get to the Waverly way. Yeah. I was in town that time. I came down even knowing it was going to be a storm, and when I was driving home, I had to go to back route because I couldn't go on 80. I couldn't even drive on 80 because of the tornado. So no, I'm not going to hear that. Other than that, you might catch Stricky on a boat, but guess where Stricky will be? On the block. You might catch Stricky on the golf course, hanging out with John Starks and my fellas, but guess where Stricky will be? On the block. Right. You might catch me all the way in Thailand and when I was in Bodrum, Turkey. Where was I at? On the block. So don't even put me in that category, my boy.
It wasn't me. I didn't say that. That was Thunder Not Collins. So
yeah, I know you picked that one specifically. I know
there are plenty of other people that are coming at you here, Stricky, but I'm not going to come at you again. I'm just appreciative that you took some time to join us here on the block today. Also appreciative of Nebco for their sponsorship of the show. They are a family-owned company that's been in business in Nebraska since 1908. 4th generation family-owned and operated, 1,200 employees and 26 companies throughout Nebraska. If you want to be a part of that Nebco family, you can by visiting nebcoinc.com, NEBCOINC.com. Mentioned people are chiming in on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. That number is 402-464-5685. Let's jump into some hoops here, Stricky. We'll talk some Dallas Mavericks fan reaction to the Luka Doncic trade. They're wilding down there, and I don't think anyone blames them. We'll get to that in a little bit. But news of the day when it comes to Nebraska men's basketball, Fred Hoiberg did officially announce on his Zoom press conference today that Berke Buyuktuncel would be out for Nebraska's game against Maryland, suffered that ankle sprain late in the game against Ohio State. He did also allude to the fact that Nebraska would stick, at least in the starting lineup, with just one big man. Didn't say if it would be Andrew Morgan or Braxton Mia, but for as far as we know, it sounds like the starting lineup will be the same of Relly Wooster, Sam Hoiberg, Bryce Williams, Juwan Gary, and then either Andrew Morgan or Braxton Mia replacing Berke Buyuktuncel. Your reaction to that news?
Yeah, I've had those injuries before. Had a second-degree high ankle sprain one time. It took me out for a little bit. They can be tough. You have to really be tough to handle it, and probably from the position more of a big man, you're carrying a little bit more weight, so forth and so on. It's very possible that you might want to take some time on that. Yeah, you don't want to aggravate it, and you don't want to extend it and hurt it any further. I mean, I could understand if this was a Big Ten, crucial game to be available for a few minutes. I could understand that. I could understand if this was the Big Ten tournament, not even the first round. If it was semis, maybe going to in the final or in the finals, not only available but small usage. If because of what you can do on the court. Because it does affect you. If you can't jump and move your feet, you become a liability to the team. You know what I'm saying? Especially the way that this team covers. A lot of movement, a lot of rotations. You can do things to put your body on people and stuff like that. Yeah, you could do all of that. But at the same time, you might want to preserve it and make sure that he's good, he's fully healthy. You have enough big men on the forward. And I even say, when you look at the Maryland lineup, Austin, like they're not a big overpowering, team. Yes, Braden Pierce is 7 foot. He's a freshman. How much they use him, how much they play him, we'll see. Another freshman on their team at 6'10" is Derek Queen. Yeah, okay, size there. The one you need to worry about is Julian Reese at 252, big body. You just want somebody that can pretty much keep him off, keep him out of the lane. He's not really a great shooter. So you just want to be able to have body on him, and between Morgan and Braxton Mia, that's the main thing. Keep him off the rebounds. Between him and his sister, they'll throw it and go get it. And then on the other side, you have Tafari Gapari. You know what I mean? That's another 6'9" guy. So he's only 215 pounds. So he's not even a big body. They only really have one big body front court guy. So I think Nebraska, if it's fine, you can even throw Cale Jacobson in there. And this isn't nothing they haven't seen before. When they were overseas and they went over on that European trip, they didn't have any big men, and Cale Jacobson had to fit. So I think they have enough versatility. Juwan Gary could even play it. He could play the 4 and go with the 1. There's a lot of different ways that they can run it with this Maryland team.
That there is. I think that I like the way Nebraska's headed with this one big starting lineup, Strick.
Yeah, you've been advocating for that. You've been advocating for it.
Right, just because of how well the offense clicks. But specifically on Juwan Gary, Strick, that's a guy that we've credited on this show for playing some of the best basketball of the season over the last few games. His turnaround, I don't want to say buying into his role, but I think really understanding or being put in better positions to play the role that he's best at has gone a long way in helping Nebraska on both sides of the ball. I know that Queen wasn't a huge factor when Nebraska went out to College Park in the first game, didn't hit a field goal, only hit 3 free throws for his points, 3.7 boards. Even Julian Reese didn't necessarily kill Nebraska with 8 and 10, but he made some big plays there down the stretch. It's not a great matchup for Nebraska, but I love the idea of Juwan Gary taking on the Julian Reese challenge, right? Reese is a little taller, a little bulkier than Juwan is, but Juwan Gary strikes me as a guy that would welcome that challenge. He wouldn't back down from it. And if you put the challenge of keeping Julian Reese off the glass on both the offensive end and the defensive end, I think that if Juwan Gary's playing the way Juwan Gary needs to play basketball for Nebraska to be successful, he's the right answer for Nebraska at the 4, because he can probably match Queen on the boards, match him with energy and intensity and going and getting the thing off the rim. And I like what Juwan Gary can do offensively matched up against Julian Reese.
Well said. And as you were speaking, I could only think about one situation in which, there's multiple situations, both in college. We were making a great run in the NIT at the time, and we had to play a really good, versatile team similar to Maryland in Tulane. And Tulane had a guy by the name of Gerald Honeycutt at that time, 6'9", big body. He was a big time scorer. Like he was getting money, and he was first team. I don't know what they were at that time back in the day. They were in it was in a different conference, but he was first team in that conference, and I had to guard him. And he's 6'9", big body. Spent a short stint in the NBA as well. So he's a quality dude, and I had to take that challenge. Now I'm 6'2", I'm 6'3", Juwan's 6'6", so it's not much of a difference. It's just like you said, it's a mental thing and a desire to have to do that. Similarly, now to add to that part, there was that time that I've always talked about people about the time when we played the defending champions at the time, and when I was with Dallas. And we were having problems with Tim Duncan and David Robinson, to which Don Nelson decided to put me on Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan's 6'11", 6'10", big body, dominated. I mean, one of the most dominating power forwards in the league at that time. And I guarded him. And it's the mental thing that I had, but it's the other end, what you said. That's the one that you want to make sure that you're pushing the tempo, you're getting those secondary opportunities that we've talked about, you're pushing it up to Juwan, run, push, probe, attack, get him in foul trouble, be creative, and that's what you have to do. You also have to be creative on the defensive side, Austin. What I mean by that is give different angles. Don't stand behind, sit behind, work front, side, low, high. You're going to have to work your tail off this night. This is going to be you can't just be lackluster in your defensive effort in this game, because you're going to want to play up, down, high, switch, making it tough for those guys to enter the ball by giving them different things. Pull back, go forward, get around front, and then once he get it, bait him. He's strong left hand. He's strong left hand dominant. So I make him think he's got his left, and I might step in and take a charge or two. You see what I'm saying? So I'll bait him into it to think he's got an open lane, and I know that's what you're going to try to get to. I would then retreat to a charge angle, and then hopefully get something done. Similar to what I did to Shaq. Same thing. Shaq's looking at me like, what? Are y'all? Oh, you think it's a game, as Kevin Hart would say? Oh, you think it's a game? No, I'm going to leverage you to force you to think you're going to dominate. And then I'm just going to be like, voila. Gotcha.
And I think that Juwan's a smart enough, savvy enough defender as a senior to understand that. Here's the other part of that, Strick, is that Julian Reese hasn't been a huge feature option for Maryland like he was, a couple years ago, right? When he was really bursting on the scene, all freshman caliber player in the Big Ten. He's got a little bit of a bag to him, but I still think Derek Queen, even as a freshman, is a more polished post scorer. I think he's got a deeper bag, a little more ability to step out and hit a jumper too. But just like we saw Nebraska do last year against Michigan and against Northwestern with Josiah Allick, even a guy that's not your primary option, if you see a matchup, you can try to take advantage of it. Nebraska went to their fourth or fifth offensive option very early on in Josiah Allick to start those Northwestern and Michigan games last year. If the matchup is Gary guarding Reese, I wouldn't be shocked to see Nebraska, get that matchup targeted early, right? If Maryland goes inside to Reese. And that's where Juwan's not going to, again, if that's the matchup, he won't have to guard on the perimeter. He won't have to guard handle. He's going to have to work to try to deny that post entry, like you said. But it's not going to be about in every possession, Juwan Gary has to lock this guy up or else he's going to go for 30. If he can be really good defensively, deny, not let Reese get a bucket on the first 2 or 3 possessions, he probably saved himself 4 or 5 possessions of work on the defensive end, because Maryland will see, hey, guess what? We can't just take advantage of this. We got to try to let Gillespie cook. Let's see if Rodney Rice or Selton Miguel have it going. Let's get Derek Queen some touches. And then Juwan can do what he does best, roam off the ball, roam weak side play, passing lanes, because Maryland's spacing still isn't great necessarily. They're a decent 3-point shooting team, but playing 2 pretty traditional bigs like that, I think if that is the matchup, if Juwan Gary does his work in the first 2 or 3 minutes, all out effort, not letting Reese say, hey, I have a matchup, keep coming to me. That could be a huge key for him in saving some energy for the offensive end, but also doing what he does best on the defensive end.
Work smarter and not harder. Absolutely. That's a wise way to do it. Is to get out after it early so that you don't have to. It's I'm trying to think of a way or something there. Okay. Like, for example, right. This is what they talk about in farming. One of the things they talk about in farming is getting up earlier, knocking out the duties, and then you'll have the good majority of your afternoons and not having to work in the hot sun. So you get up before dusk, get out there, hit it, knock everything out, and then you don't have to do all of the hard stuff. It's just managing things towards the hot periods of the day. All right. So, and I could be wrong. If there's any farmers out there, tell me.
We love our farmers on the text line. Hit us up.
I'd be happily corrected. But those are things that I could tell you that people that used to what is it called? When we were in high school, we used to go out there and to tassel the corn. I'm sure I didn't never do it. I didn't have the sack to do it. But
we were too busy playing baseball, Stricky. That's what.
Man, I know. See, that's exactly right. So there's you do your work early, you won't have to do it as much later. And that was really what my philosophy was as well. I'm going to get after you. I'm going to attack you. I'm going to push, and I'm going to put pressure on you. And then it's the same thing that Baron Davis used to say to me. You know, Baron knew how I was coming. So Baron would always say, he'd be like, dang, Strick, dang, man, we had a back-to-back, man. I'm tired. He knew, because he knew what it was going to be. So that's something that Juwan could handle for himself early. And if he does his work, it'll be a lot better for him later.
Gorilla Bear says, I used to do that at sea in the Navy in the Arabian Gulf. It was tropical hours, 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. because it was too hot to work midday. So not a farming example, but Gorilla Bear, shout out Navy. Go Navy, beat Army. Stricky, I know you're an Air Force guy. I got my ties back to the Navy. So
that's all good.
You guys chiming in on that one. We're going to take our first break of the show. When we get back, Nico Harrison getting clowned, Patrick DeMont getting clowned. Mavericks fans are not loving it, but they're making the best of a bad situation.
Can I mention something? Because I know we're not going to talk about this any longer. One of the things I know that, we got a little long on it, but one of the things I just wanted to say about the resume for this team. Do you want to save that for another time? Talk maybe tomorrow about it? Because I definitely want to get into that, because there's something that I saw within this resume situation that I could really break down. So we'll get into those tomorrow. Let's bring it back. Talk about what does these games mean for the resume, since they're going to be playing tomorrow, and also their style of play. With regards to the way that they're playing and their principles of offense. I'd love to definitely re-engage in those conversations also.
Yeah, I think that's a tomorrow preview thing, or maybe a Friday recap if we see that as well. So stay tuned for that. Of course, I pride ourselves on talking the most basketball on the station here with me and Strick. I know Jay likes to chime in on those as well. So you want any Husker basketball questions answered, any insight, this is where you find it 3 to 5 during On the Block. And of course, listen back to it on the podcast. We'll go to break. Clown on Strick's Dallas Mavericks a little bit when we get back.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
At Lincoln Family Chiropractic, they believe everyone deserves to live a pain-free and active life. Whether it's neck pain, shoulder pain, or lower back pain, Lincoln Family Chiropractic specializes in customized care for every patient to promote faster healing, allowing you to get back to an optimal life. Lincoln Family Chiropractic's team specializes in treatments such as dry needling, cupping therapy, and traditional adjustments. Give Lincoln Family Chiropractic a call today, 402-484-5166. Visit them online at lincolnfamilychiro.com or in person, 1 block south of 70th and 8th Street in Lincoln. If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197. 93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall, Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com, because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
Hey everyone, Lance here with Black Label. We specialize in creating custom crafted decks, pergolas, patio covers, and more. Plus, our retractable screens, gazebos, and patio enclosures create the ultimate outdoor retreat. With over 50 years of combined experience, we're not just builders, we're creators of unforgettable memories.
Call them today at 402-730-6333 or visit blacklabelbuilt.com for a free consultation.
Let's turn your backyard dreams into reality.
Black Label Built, built to serve, built to last. Load up on meat and more this winter at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through February 18th is 15% off chocolates, 15% off wines and spirits, and $10 off filet mignon per pound. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Wellman Plumbing at 402-434-2400 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-434-2400.
Hey volleyball fans, this is Laura Dijkema, national player of the Netherlands and now the setter on Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering for us in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action. Go Big Green!
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
We are back here during On the Block. Austin Norman, Eric Strickland with you in hour 1. Jay Foreman will be along for hour number 2. This segment of On the Block is brought to you by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. They're based out of Hallam, Nebraska, and they offer a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty on everything while still keeping their prices affordable. They're locally and family owned with their own team of installers, and you can give them a call today for more info at 402-430-3852. You can also check them out online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Strick, I know you and I were seeing the same things. Mavericks fans, the general Dallas reaction to the Luka Doncic trade. There's been a number of incidents that have popped up since the Luka Doncic trade. SMU students chant "Fire Nico," with Nico Harrison sitting one section over from them at the SMU game. The Mavs not showing fans on the Jumbotron, and then when they do get back to it, the guy's pretending like he's singing along with a microphone, and then very clearly mouths "Fire Nico" to the Jumbotron. The governor, the owner, Patrick DeMont, was booed. But Stricky, the one that really stood out to me, and I think to a lot of people in this actually probably cuts deeper than any of those sort of way, franchise legend, franchise icon Dirk Nowitzki flies out to Los Angeles to watch Luka Doncic's debut with the Los Angeles Lakers. What do you make of the firestorm and the drama that's surrounding the Mavericks organization right now?
Well, first and foremost, one, they're both European players, so there's a kind of a unity there. You know what I'm saying? It would be no different than to us. We're United States, so each state individually is different. But like if you went to college with a group, or you lived in the same state and you guys played AAU ball together, there's a support there. They did, play together for the early stint of Luka and the retiring stint. So one going out, one coming in. There's a bond that gets built in that, right? Mm-hmm. It's like the old guard you get a chance to watch make their exit, and the new guard come in to take the reins. And so there's a relationship that was built there. And Dirk, especially with Mark, I know that his title was similar to like what Jerry West was for the Lakers, conciliary, a consultant, just kind of worked together with those guys. And they weren't in the loop. And so it hits hard, it hurts. And I know what that feeling's like, man. I'm telling you, I was there. It's nothing where you're going about your day and you are the centerpiece. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different for me. I was told I'm a part of where we're going. I was one of the ones that stuck through the foolishness. And so you get told that. And then when you hear that word, man, it's like an utter shock. Mm-hmm. So it's sad. And I feel bad for Nico too, because Nico he's a friend of mine. Like he's a friend of mine. Matter of fact, I hit him up to come on the show, and he said he would, but he doesn't do it. And so he would hate to come on mine. And then, he's already told a whole bunch of others that he can't. So I get that. And, but when I look at it, I know the business aspect of it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I understand the business of it. I understand there has to be a fall guy. I'm used to watching movies. I watch WWE. I watched a lot of different things where there are guys that are good guys, but they have to play a villain role. You feel me? You feel where I'm going? I think he just has to play this villain role because of the back business that's looming and that's going on with regards to Dallas. You used to see guys like what WWE fans, 402-464-5685. Triple H. I didn't even need you. Where Triple H is an iconic wrestler, right? You watch Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson go from a bad to a good, and they get booed and they're getting pointed at, and everybody's going at them. And I think that's part of the business of what's going on behind the scenes. The new ownership, I don't think this ever would have happened with Mark, but I really truly within my heart, yes, I really truly in my heart believe that It's what teams would do in your face to show you that they're tanking. It's what Cleveland did to really degrade the organization of all of its assets for a reason. I believe the Mavericks are doing this for a leverage reason that goes beyond what we can see. You don't have to pay a man $350 million because you're trying to operate on the business side and you want to tank the business. This is why you need the booze. You need everybody to hate what Dallas stands for, what they're about. You don't want them to support. You don't want them to come. If you're the owner and you're looking at everybody and you're just saying, hey, you don't want to let me leave, but look at what's going on here. They're not coming. They're booing my GM. They're this. Players not really having a great time. Anthony Davis is no. That's another thing. Don't let me put my tinfoil hat on. One game, he's looking good. He's doing his thing. Growing injury.
And that's not a simple one.
See what I'm saying? Like, to me, it's some form of a funny style game that's going on, but it's mostly a leverage game, and they got 2 years to play it. I don't know how it's going to play out. That's my speculation on the matter. And if it turns out to be, guess where you heard it? Right here on the block.
Right here during On the Block is correct. Thunder Knock Collins, I think we answered your question pretty well there. Old Dad 34, think we addressed your thoughts as well. Thanks for chiming in on the Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. And Strick, obviously you're friends with Nico, like you said. I don't know him. That's just an impossible spot for him to be put in.
It is.
Right? Who's a guy that's made some really savvy moves on the basketball side, who did some good stuff for Dallas, including the Kyrie Irving trade, stuck with it when not a lot of people would have given him a chance. The Gafford and Washington moves last year that helped propel them to a final. And that's where I think you're onto something, where this doesn't strike me as a Nico Harrison decision, right? The guy wouldn't just get a wild hair like that. It's a little funny style, like you're saying. But I can also understand, just on a purely human level, there are 30 of these jobs available. 30 NBA GM positions. It's hard to get there. It is not easy, right? And that's not where Nico started his career, right? Obviously with Nike, and he did a lot of stuff over there. Gets the job over at the Mavericks to become the general manager position.
I think he got an increase too. I think he just not coming into this year, he got an increase in pay. And sometimes it costs to be the boss. Go ahead, Austin.
And there's that. But to see new ownership come in and almost entirely disregard the good work that he did on the basketball side, to take a young, promising, up-and-coming GM and say, we are going to pin this decision. One of the, at least right now, one of the 5 most seismic decisions in NBA player acquisition, player trade history as a baseline. We're going to pin this on you because we want something somewhere else. That's a bullcrap move. That's a bullcrap look. And Nico Harrison deserves better. If that's what's going on, he deserves better than to have this pinned on him. And I'm not going to say he's wrong for taking the fall for it, because again, it's hard to get an NBA GM job. You're getting compensated handsomely for it. And sure, this too will pass, but that's a huge, part of his personal reputation now that cannot be undone. I would not tell Nico Harrison to give up the job as Dallas Mavericks general manager, but Strick, at the same time, I would not have faulted Nico Harrison for, if this was orchestrated behind his back, pinned on him, he's got to take the fall. I would not have faulted him one bit for just out of the blue resigning in the middle of the night when they tried to pin this on him and say, I'm not taking the fall for this. This is of a magnitude like something we haven't seen in the NBA in decades. It's not in merger history.
You're right.
So you don't give the job up, but I wouldn't blame him for having walked away before this if this is the stunt, the crap that ownership is trying to pull.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him either. But also, let's just be real. Let's WTF it right now. Let's talk facts. Those who are listening on this line, you deal with this every freaking day. There's two parts to it. One, especially who was just talking on the military. Thank you for your service. We appreciate all of our veterans who serve this country, because we know that had it not been for you and your service to this country to protect and keep us safe, we could be in a whole different situation. So let's first get that out.
Amen.
But let's be real about it too. For political, geopolitical, and all these freaking games that sometimes are being played, a lot of people get thrown on the bus, and unfortunately, a lot of people lose their lives. You see what I'm saying? They use their lives for political gain, for a war that at times they cannot win. You could take that all the way back to Vietnam. They didn't have the means by which they could win that war. They were basically Agent Oranged and all kinds of stuff and stuck in jungles. And it's all this stuff that goes on because people that did not or do not understand the ramifications of a move like that, only thinking with the bottom line and the paper deals of it, the monetary gains, future gains, or whatever it is for it, that you throw people to the wind. Now, there's a reason why I like this show, and I'm going to be done with it, because then I'm going to let you respond to what I just said, and if you call it true, and if the text line also finds it true. There was a show that used to come on, Austin. I don't know if it comes on anymore, but it was something Boss. Tell me what it is, but I'll give you what it was. The boss would dress up and they would put him in a wig and glasses and give him a beard and do all of this, and undercover boss.
Yeah.
And they would send them into work all the different phases and see how much their people really have been thrown under the bus, or the things that they have to deal with, or the issues that you can't see from 1,000 feet up until you land on the ground and you're able to kind of touch how close some of these things are. You can't really see it from that high. And that's what I think sometimes goes on when we're looking at deals like this, Austin. Your thought on it?
Yeah, no, I think that's completely true, is that sometimes these C-suite executives and people on the ground have different priorities. Teams and fans sometimes have different priorities, right? That's just the nature of the beast. And it's unfortunate, because I think, Strick, we always, as fans, as people that are invested, whether it's monetarily in terms of our time, our attention, whatever it is, if we're invested in a team, we, number one, assume, and number two, hope that ownership and decision makers are as invested in, the game to game, the season by season, the championship aspirations as we are. And I think that cold, hard, on the ground fact proves that's just not always the case in sports. And again, I'm not saying that necessarily has to be the case, but there's a way for everyone to win, or at least not everyone, accept ownership to lose, right? Let's just say, for example, that the new Mavericks ownership is angling to try to take the franchise to Vegas. That sucks, because you know why? The NBA has already been looking to put a franchise in Vegas. You don't need to tank the Mavs to go to Vegas, except that your ties are to the casino industry and you want your team out there. So my question for them would be, why did you have to go and make the lives of millions of Mavericks fans miserable? Why did you have to go and put a bad reputation on Nico Harrison for this move when you could have just expressed interest in owning the Vegas franchise? Buy it outright. Be the first owners to do the simple thing there, instead of make it so convoluted behind the scenes. If that's what's going on. Again, I don't know. But that's kind of where the tea leaves.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You know, because here's why you know. When you look at sometimes, okay, let me just throw a name at you. Bernie Madoff. Right? There's greed. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that the Mavericks owners are greedy, but what happens is ideas pop and they want to move. This is why you see all the people up in arms right now that's going on in the political landscape of the day. Musk is a super billionaire dude. He goes in, he wants to get stuff done now. You see what I'm saying? Not 4 years from now, 3 years. Let's go. Let's get in here and get it done. Sleeping in the place. That's how big time people thought. Mark even thinks that way, but Mark's a basketball guy. He came from a basketball. So this is why this wouldn't have happened with Mark. You're talking about business people, casino people. They came in their mind, money talks, bull walks. That's how they act. So they felt, I'm coming into Dallas. We going down to Austin. It's going to happen. He don't get traded if the casino deal gets pulled in Texas. If they're able to get casino rights in Texas, Luka's not going anywhere because they know they got to fill that building. They got to get the people behind it to want to pay for it. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I think but it's tough to see it because we not there. You see what I'm saying?
It's one of those things that I think we know in our gut. We don't have that on record, so I don't want to say for a fact that's what's going down. And but trying to read the tea leaves, see everything behind the scenes, know those machinations. It sounds and seems like it's a pretty open secret, pretty poorly kept secret. And again, I just want to reiterate this, Strick, more than anything. It's a really bad look from the new ownership group to jeopardize something that didn't need to be jeopardized when there was a much simpler path to this. If there was a little bit of patience, because we know the NBA has been looking at expansion for like 5 years. It's on the table. It's on the horizon. It's in the cards. I mean, to continue that gambling thing, right? It's literally in the cards. It is in the NBA's hand. When it wants to play the Vegas card and, the Nashville card or the Mexico City card or the Vancouver card again, whatever it is, right? Seattle card, I hope. It's going to get played. We know that it's coming. But this is, again, where short-sightedness, maybe selfishness, greed, whatever it is you want to call it, the group said, no, we want NBA ownership now. We want to force the move to Vegas now instead of stepping back, seeing the big picture, what's best for the league. Hey, let's maybe not move an established franchise, out of the fourth biggest media market in the United States. And the fact, Strick, that the other 29 governors and the commissioner still approved this without factoring in the potential that, hey, these casino people want a casino. If they don't get it, what could potentially be on the horizon? That's kind of an oversight on the other 29 at this point for approving the sale, approving that instead of saying, hey, pump the brakes, we'll let you in, but we can do this in a way less disruptive way.
I don't think Stern does it.
I don't think so either.
I think Silver is feckless. He's got no. Let me be quiet.
He doesn't have that Duke backbone that he was raised to have with his Duke education.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you. Yeah, no, bro. And look, it made it even worse now because LA had to nix the deal for Williams coming over.
Yeah.
So look, they're going to start off okay, but they're going to meet up with some Denvers and they're going to meet up with some teams that's going to exploit that foolishness. It's not going to happen. They happen to be playing against a really bad. I don't know what their next game is, but they happen to be playing against a really bad Utah team, and they were able to get over that. But they're going to come up on some other ones. That stuff ain't going to happen with OKC. That stuff ain't going to happen with Denver or with San Antonio or that stuff ain't. Good luck trying to guard the alien with what y'all got going on down there. Good luck. Good luck with LeBron trying to guard that man. I'm just saying. So it's working now, and I feel bad for them too, because now they kind of got stuck in a rut. They're a couple years away, and we don't know how long LeBron's got. So for them, Luka's the long-term play for them anyway. So that works for them on the long term.
Yeah,
and they don't have to pay Luka the big dollars for another few years after that. So
right,
LA's like, cool.
Just the regular.
Luka's looking at that paycheck like, ooh.
Where'd it go? I'm in Los Angeles now. I'm not in Dallas. Where'd it go? I'll try
click your heels, maybe. Click your heels 3 times. You never know. You might end up
place like home. We got to click our heels 3 times and get to break. I'm sure we'll keep talking about this. We'll wrap up hour 1 of On the Block here in just a sec.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, realignment, or even a new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at doorsplusllc.com or give them a call at 402-590-5800.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
The Lincoln forecast for today, snow continuing throughout the day. And it will be cold. We'll see an afternoon high of just 13. Tonight, decreasing clouds and a continued cold, a low of 8 below. And tomorrow, we'll see mostly sunny skies and it will be breezy. An afternoon high near 23. Meteorologist Kyle Clutch for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Attention! For the entire month of February, Acres has John Deere packaged oil and filters for 15% off. John Deere engineers its oil filters specifically for large ag equipment and commercial and residential mowers. With premium materials, these filters meet the unique demands of your farm and acreage. Following a strict maintenance routine with premium John Deere oil and filters ensures your equipment will run efficiently for years. Visit your local Acres store to start shopping today.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with the child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Hey volleybalfans, this is Laura Dijkema, national player of the Netherlands and now the setter on Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering for us in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action. Go Big Green!
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Wellman Plumbing at 402-434-2400 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-434-2400.
Mulberry Barbecue now has a brand new second location to help all your lunch and dinner cravings. Stop by their newest location at 6125 Apples Way near Lowe's off of Highway 2. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burn-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Mulberry Barbecue open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway and now at 6125 Apples Way in South Lincoln.
Staying healthy and comfortable starts with the air you breathe. If you're noticing more dust, odors, or allergies, it could be time for duct cleaning from Bryant. Pure Air starts with cleaner air ducts. Pair with enhanced filtration and purifications options, and the difference is amazing. When the air you breathe is clean and fresh, your home smells fresher and your family is healthier. Time for cleaner air in your home? Call Bryant for a free estimate. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. Bryant, whatever it takes.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
One final segment here for hour 1 of On the Block. Austin Norman and Eric Strickland with you. One more hoops topic here, Stricky. Last night in Omaha, the CHI Health Center, dollar beer night. Creighton back into the top 25, hosting UConn. Creighton gets up by 14 points, but UConn comes roaring back. Freshman Liam McNeely leads the way. He dropped 30 on Creighton, hit the clutch free throws late. It wasn't so much the game, which was a pretty good one. Shout out UConn for doing the dang thing on behalf of Husker Nation. But then Strick, after the game, Dan Hurley went full Dan Hurley. On his way off the floor, of course, there was some F Dan Hurley chants going on during the game. One guy in particular got under Dan Hurley's skin. He says, 2 rings, Baldy. Bye-bye. 2 rings. 2 rings to a Creighton fan as he's walking off the floor. Then in his post-game press conference, he says, I'm not going to lie to you. That was very gratifying. I waved at some people. I just wish that there was still more of them left. There's been a lot more left when they've beat us. When I've lost in Omaha, Dan Hurley and UConn win for the first time in Omaha in program history. Dan Hurley goes full Dan Hurley. You love it? You hate it? Where are you at with it?
It's one of those duality type situations, right? Yin and yang type situations for me, because I hate it because I love when they win, especially those high quality wins. It helps Nebraska's resume. So that's why I hate it. I love it because I'm an underdog dude. Guys like that have never won in the building. It shows a lot of moxie out of your team to come back and to win in an environment like that, and then talk your stuff. That's why I love playing on the road, because I'm gonna play my tail off, and if we can beat you, we're gonna walk out with a bunch of shh. It's gonna be very quiet. It's gonna be church mouses in there. So that's why I like it.
To Creighton's fans' credit, at least they were still chirping after the game. I think it's kind of weak to just walk out and leave when your team loses. If you're going to be about it. So credit Creighton fans, I guess, for that. But Strick, it is
Austin. I got to tell you something. Real quick.
Hit me.
You haven't been in it because you didn't, you're a good shooter, but you didn't get to the level that I was at. And playing in a playoff game, Austin, and you go into, you got 7 games. I think for a little while we played 5, but then it got to 7. And you're beating the team in their home. The stuff you see when the bus is leaving or when it's arriving, the stuff that is being said and the flip offs and the plaque, it is wild. It is wild. So I can only imagine what it was like him walking off the floor, huh?
Who did it best? Which opposing fans?
Oh man, listen, we talk about it all the time. Philly and Detroit are some of the worst, bro. Some of the worst. Philly, Detroit, Boston can be, but it's a whole different flow when you play for Boston and you don't. New York, you don't really get to see the fans too much because literally the bus is inside like underground. Yeah. And so when you come out, you're only there for a short period. Police are blocking off, so you're just zooming out. But some of them, we literally are walking to the bus where it's kind of sitting outside or whatever, you know what I mean? So, or going up the ramp, they're standing at the fence and they're saying all kinds of crazy stuff. But that's the wild thing, you know what I mean, that you see. When you win outside of the Malice in the Palace type stuff, normally you have a few fans that like you. They'll stay and they'll get to the rail and they'll tap your hand. But I don't think I've had it as bad as what Hurley had coming off the floor, other than that time in Detroit at halftime that I told you about.
Yeah, I'm glad you made it out of there, and I'm glad for the other guy that you made the right choice and didn't climb up there, Stricky. So good job to you, respectively.
Yeah, they would have been talking about Stricky and put me in the Malice crew.
Dang, we can't have that. Eastrick, we'll let you go. Thanks for hopping on for the first hour. We'll see you down here tomorrow ahead of Nebraska, Maryland, partner.
As a fact.
We'll get out of here. Jay Foreman in for hour 2 of On the Block right after this.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orbit, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197. Load up on meat and more this winter at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through February 18th is 15% off chocolates, 15% off wines and spirits, and $10 off filet mignon per pound. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100 and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall. Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
The dangers of secondhand smoke are well known. But what about secondhand aerosol, which is created when using e-cigarettes? Science already shows a secondhand aerosol can contain nicotine, heavy metals, and cancer-causing agents. Eliminating exposure to secondhand aerosol is an important step to keeping everyone safe. Breathe easier knowing the facts.
For help quitting, call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, Jay Foreman. Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Presented by NEPCO. This is On the Block.
Welcome back in hour 2 of On the Block. Here, the dulcet tones of James J. Foreman. Like, what's a shame?
You supposed to be out there recruiting. You supposed to have an eye for talent.
I'm too busy raising the next one right now, putting all my time and effort into that. You know, instead of casting a wide net, personal attention to one.
I got you.
Is that acceptable?
That's acceptable.
Okay. It's the only defense I have right now.
It's suspect, though.
Well, I'll get back to you in 13 years when we see a little man putting up 20.
I hear you. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
This is On the Block, brought to you by Nebco. They're hiring some mechanics, laborers, bridge builders, operators, and drivers for their constructors brand, as well as CDL drivers for ready mixed concrete. Apply today at nebcoinc.com, constructorslincoln.com, or readymixedconcrete.com to join the Nebco family. Jay, let's jump right in. Got about 15, 20 minutes here in this first segment before we talk some football and baseball with Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. College sports has a CEO coming, according to some potential reports out of the House settlement. The way they're going to handle that is with a new LLC in place, and they'll oversee all the operations of that with a board and a CEO. What do you make of college sports going to a more traditional sort of business model and setup?
Well, I think it'll help. I'm sure that there'll be a board, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure. So
yeah, over the CEO.
Yeah, I think somebody that can, represent the bigger picture. Hopefully it's like it's not a commissioner that works for the university. It's kind of like how the commissioner works for the NFL, but ultimately, you need some sort of, I hope he's not a figurehead, just like, somebody that I think is popular, somebody that's going to help guide both sides, tell them when they're right and when they're wrong, or when they need to, I guess, make a concession or whatever for the betterment of the game. And hopefully it's like a I guess it's politics back like when it was actually really good politics, where people weren't afraid to go across the party lines to shake hands for the betterment of, in that case, was America way back in the day, and this is for college football and college sports. So probably been a long time coming. At least there will be some clear rules, which then will allow the commissioner or CEO and the business people, as long as they're not influenced,
which they will be, but please keep it to a minimum.
Yeah, right. Yeah, don't be outlandish with it, as we've seen. But that you can, at least you get some rules. Then you can hold universities accountable. Now there needs to be a players union, a players union rep, and go for just take the NFL model, and then hopefully the things that work in the NFL and that can kind of roll over into college football, you use, and then also look at some of the things that the NFL hadn't done well. You know what I'm saying?
Which is kind of hard to do right now because of how popular the league is, but no league's ever perfect.
No, and maybe it's along the players stuff. So ideally somebody that will be able to represent the players or per state, because you're going to have somebody per state, because it's different, and that knows that landscape of that university, but then also represents the players the right way, but then also understand it is a good relationship with the university, in the sense of that's probably where college football can do a better job, right? After they get done playing, is there benefits afterwards? How long do those benefits last? If they don't have direct benefits or a benefit process, well, if you do, this is a benefit option for you. You can pay into it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's minimal payment with maximum output, meaning since overall player 1 to 105 aren't making as much per player as they do on a 53-man roster. That's fine. But if you have some sort of like aftercare money pool for a player or a team that he can buy in, kind of like a Cobra or whatever, that needs to be done. Obviously, you want to make sure that you have, impartial doctors and all that stuff, because then if you're getting into this where you're a contract, you don't want to. And then also you got to make sure you have somebody that's able to represent them if they're directly being affected, not being able to make their compensation. So it's a big step in the right direction.
And this role isn't going to be like a Roger Goodell.
No.
Right. It's not, but it's also not going to be like a Players Association president. It's a new, unique sort of role, because this person is going to ideally wield some decision-making power. This is why I ruled this way on this. This is why I advised X way on Y topic. And then they will be accountable to a board. Right now, according to, was this the Yahoo Sports or the CBS Sports article I read, Ross Bjork, Trev Alberts, a couple other, Yahoo Sports, members of this committee, this transition team that are helping set up this LLC. Ross Bjork, Graham Neff from Clemson, Trev Alberts. Represented schools also include Arizona, Cincinnati, Washington, Georgia Tech, and Kentucky. So it's for the Autonomy 5, the Power 5 as we've traditionally known it. And to answer Old Dad 34's question, does that make the NCAA go away if this happens? No. The NCAA will still be responsible for being the entity that actually puts on the championships outside of college football, right? Because this group, this LLC that's going to oversee specifically the money aspect of things, doesn't want to come up with people or infrastructure to actually host these events. So the NCAA will still have its role in hosting the championships, in getting all the back end stuff taken care of. This is solely for the money side of things. How teams navigate, how schools navigate. The number's been $20.5 million, but according to the memo from Ross Dellinger that he posted from the NCAA, the cap isn't going to be just a flat $20.5 million. It's actually going to increase based on revenue. It's going to be an average of revenues brought in by the Autonomy 5 athletic programs and their revenue, up to 22% of that per year, which right now is that $20.5 million figure. So no, the NCAA is not going away, but what this group is going to do is take NCAA quote unquote approval oversight of NIL away from that group. So who's it going to be? We knew the name Deloitte, right? When it comes to the NIL clearinghouse, Deloitte has been a pretty big player in that, but also LBI Software is a new name that popped up in this NCAA memo. They have done something similar for the back end kind of payment and making sure everything's on the up and up, those back end systems for Major League Baseball and the NBA. So the NCAA isn't just giving away the power. These conferences aren't just saying, someone come help us. They are going to legitimate industry leaders to help. But Jay, the most important figure in this is going to be whoever ends up being the CEO, which is why it can't be a Nick Saban, which is why I don't think like an Oliver Luck. I don't think Nick Saban wants to deal with that.
Well,
I really don't think he wants to deal with that.
He better be an advisor.
Sure, you can take his advice. He can be, whether it's on the board or just, on retainer, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need someone in the business realm. I think you need a college business professional in charge of this sort of thing. Because if you just put a retired head coach up there for a big name, Saban's not going to want to deal with this. Why would he want to? Kirk Herbstreit's not going to want to deal with this. You don't need a personality.
No,
you need someone who's involved on the day-to-day who can also speak well about the decisions publicly.
Yeah, no, but that's why I think it's Nick Saban.
Does Saban want to deal with this crap?
I don't know if he wants to deal with it, but I think that he would be great. I don't know who they would get.
You want Nick Saban as judge, jury, and executioner over NIL?
Yeah.
Explain, please.
Because he's thorough.
Yeah.
He knows NIL. And I'm sure he's bent the rules, even though he knows how to be hands
up.
He
told you he did.
So he knows how to spot somebody that's not operating on the up and up. Number two, he's an iconic figure, but he also is very smart and very fair, though. And he has the personality where he can talk to players' unions and deal with the players, but then also he can deal with the higher ups as well. You don't want a business dude up there. He ain't gonna get no respect. You gotta have somebody that knows the language and knows the law of the land.
I would prefer Gene Smith instead of Nick Saban.
Gene Smith was my second choice. But I would actually, probably Gene Smith would be my first, actually.
I mean, that's a guy that knows the language, who's been involved in the nitty-gritty, who's part of the transition team for the college football playoff. And again, it's an Ohio State guy, but that's a big money program, right? That's kind of been on the forefront of the cutting edge.
Yeah, and Gene Smith is way before his time. But he's special. He was special at his job.
Yeah, he was.
He's led through adversity.
Mm-hmm.
He's hired through adversity. He's fired through the adversity. He's held coaches accountable through adversity.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't shied away from positive, negative, or kind of whatever in between decision. So he would be great. I do think Nick Saban would be great, but I would strongly encourage Nick Saban to be on some sort of advisory board.
Oh yeah,
for them.
yeah.
Now Gene Smith is probably it's probably great for him to roll over into it because he probably knows the intricacies of it. Then obviously coming from the bigger conference, but I'm surprised that since Trev's name was in there, it ain't get more Trev.
Yeah,
just because everybody assumed that he was going to NC or to where'd he go? Texas A&M.
A&M, yeah.
To be the next college football president or something like that. That's what everybody assumed, and maybe this is part of the process. And I wonder if that'll be the schools that were affiliated. You know, like the Arizona. That was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't any big ones. Maybe they didn't want them to have too much influence, but
again, Ohio State, Clemson, Texas A&M, some
Okay.
pretty big money programs. And then the others that are represented on this committee: Arizona, Cincinnati, Washington, Georgia Tech, Kentucky.
yeah, those five.
Mm.
It's like the total opposite.
Yeah.
But I think any other blue bloods, you think like, okay, well then they're just running things. So I think you brought
right.
Some.
Well, there's only one blue blood on that list.
Well, no, out of those five, I mean, if you had say if you had the main ones, like then you threw Nebraska in there, Penn State, all the blue bloods in the whole affiliation with them, instead of only being like four big ones. Georgia Tech isn't a blue blood. Arizona's not a blue blood.
Georgia Tech's money, though. That's
Yeah,
Atlanta.
Sure.
Smart people.
But if you had just all blue bloods, you're like, oh, well, you guys might as well just start your own league then.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So, I can understand it, but it's just definitely Kentucky.
Mitch Barnhart's pretty well respected. That's
respected, but do you respect anything with Kentucky about football?
I mean, Mark Stoops. No, it's not a football power. That's the answer you want me to say. And
Right.
I get that.
Yeah.
But I think you made the point I was going to make is that if this was just essentially a consortium of the top 10 brands in college football, it'd be a little dicey for the bottom of the power.
So I think they're looking for people. And maybe they've built their programs in different ways.
John Cunningham at Cincinnati, that's a pretty well-respected name.
Yeah.
It's been around the block.
Yeah, it's been, he's been there. He's the little brother of Ohio State.
No idea who Jay Batt is at Georgia Tech. Because I think that's part of this deal. Oh, in Washington, obviously, there's been a lot of turnover at that job recently because Cohen just left for USC not that long. Oh, Patrick Chung.
Yeah.
That's another pretty well-respected name up there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a start. I don't think it'll be, perfect getting out, but at least they're doing something. It's probably a little bit, maybe a year or two overdue, but, they're just trying to get, all the different things. I know they have some regulations with contracts and making sure everybody gets paid on time and then in the right way. But it'll be interesting to see what's the spider webs off it. What kind of off brand or off subject businesses and stuff like that come from it. I'm a big believer in this for every school, even when this comes out. The more that you can do and provide for a player, the better you'll do in this landscape.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to even things out with this $20.5 million.
22%.
Yeah, it'll even it out.
Yeah,
like across the board. You know what I mean? It'll have some schools be able to rise up a little bit higher in the tide.
Well, we saw that with NIL.
Yeah,
the current version.
Right.
It didn't necessarily make the rich get richer. It didn't hurt them.
No,
it didn't hurt the rich. It helped everyone else.
Yeah, and so, and this will help you get up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in order to really take that next step, to retain a player or players that maybe that you invest in some time, resources in developing, truly developing. And developing now isn't a 3-year process, it's more like a redshirt year and halfway through your second year.
Yeah.
Right. And then like, all right, this dude's starting to
by conference play almost.
Well, yeah. Well, the second year, if you redshirt, say I came in and I redshirted and I only played the 4 games, but I'm developing. I need to get bigger, faster, stronger, but I'm doing that. And then by the middle of the next season, you're like, yo, we got to get this dude on the field, or we need to get him more playing time. That's the development process that you really want to hold on to, because
that's the ideal, right?
That's the ideal.
Take that red shirt, get on the field,
right?
Then. But then at the same point, if you have the red shirt year, it's midway through, and you're not on the field. That's probably when those alarm bells start going off for coaches. Hey, next year's 105 probably won't have this name on.
Yeah, maybe, but then it is different dynamics.
Yeah,
it's off the field. It's in the classroom. sometimes it takes people a little bit longer to learn the what it is to be a mature young adult away from school. And most likely those type of players aren't really taxing you that much in your salary cap.
Yeah.
And you might know it might take you a little bit. It might have taken him a little bit longer to get going in high school. So it's going to take you a little bit longer to get going in college. But if the potential's there and the work's there and it's not stretching you too thin, those guys will be able to stick. But the more important ones, the ones that really start to develop on time and, like I always say, on target, the more that you can provide support from alumni, seeing somebody that they around that they know and like that isn't like a coach. What do you have their immediate or close friends and family around? Most likely their family. Are you still have a clear path for them to continue along? Because one thing about athletes, unless somebody comes in and gives you like 4 times what you're getting, they ain't leaving. They ain't gonna leave for $5,000. They ain't gonna leave for 10. And if you can't necessarily make up the whole 10, then you got to provide something that's the stopgap between there.
Show me where this 10 is being made up.
Right.
Facilities, treatment, support.
So, yeah, and it could be a combination of okay, we can make an offer that's bridged in between, but remember, this is what we also provide and will do. That has nothing to do with the cap. So it's going to be interesting to see who who really steps up and embraces it. There will be pushback. Now there will be the people that are going to find ways to work around these rules. And then ultimately, whoever the CEO is and the board, how hard do you drop the hammer?
And you've got to make an example of a big school when it happens. That's never happened before, but you've got to set the tone early.
Yeah, you got to, because these guys are pretty slick. It's still going to be the Wild Wild West. It's just going to be a little bit more contained. And how you handle it, and then also how you handle it won't just be to scare other people, but then also it should highlight what you're doing to help this whole thing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look so bad. And the football product is great, but the portal, being able to transfer 50 million times. Now you can go to JUCO for 2 years. Now you got people thinking that, okay, I'm just going to take a kid, send him to JUCO for 2 years, only college 1 year, then he can go to the pros. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff out there, and it's like just thrown up in the air, and then nothing's really stuck, but it's still out there and being available.
Well, and making it harder, hopefully in a better way long term, is that we're having these discussions, right? So much of this, Jay, 30 years ago could have been done more behind closed doors. If it didn't break in a bombshell Sports Illustrated magazine article or in the local paper, we didn't care. It was just about the football product. But what's going on the field? Obviously, the money's gotten bigger, and that changes things. But now there's so much more that these administrators, these people on this team, have to be aware of, not just what they're doing, but also the public conversation around it, and be able to manage those expectations to some degree.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, it's a lot of ways, fortunately and unfortunately, when you're a college coach, you're not directly like a politician. You're not out there talking about Medicare or anything like that, but you're in a very, heavyweight position, and there's a lot of things that go around it. Being associated with you by people that might have some influence or might want you to do something, that then you have to be aware of that. Then you also have to be aware of the perception and the reality out there based on how you, or in some cases, like your assistant coaches and players, are operating. And that could, bring the whole thing down.
Yeah.
So the last thing that you get to do is coach in a lot of ways, which sucks because that's what we hired you for, right? So you're essentially a CEO, and that's what makes the really, really good ones really, really good, great. And that's why you see the emergence of GMs and consultants. I think the biggest market, and I mentioned this before, the best way to improve your team overnight is obviously you're going to have the people that you hire, and let's just say your turnkey people, right?
Yeah.
Administrators, assistant AD, associate AD. I'd hire really good consultants and really good analysts.
Yeah.
And so the consultants are people that could probably do both, or could just consult you, and really, really good analysts. And reason why they won't stop the process of you recruiting, they won't stop you from coaching, but they actually will make everything that you do as far as coaching and recruiting 10 times better, more efficient, and actually you will end up being better faster, and then you'll get paid. So
right. Win-win,
Yeah,
win-win,
yeah.
win-win-win.
Low investment, high return.
Take advantage.
Yeah.
While you
Take
can.
advantage, yeah. You just got to know the right one. So
we got to go to break. We got Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald coming up on the other side. Sure, we'll jump back into this and some NFL headlines in old school. That's on the way at 5. But we're going to break. Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald to talk a little Husker football and then some Husker baseball. They start their season here in just a couple days when we get back to On the Block.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. 93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast for today, snow continuing throughout the day. And it will be cold. We'll see an afternoon high of just 13. Tonight, decreasing clouds and a continued cold, a low of 8 below. And tomorrow, we'll see mostly sunny skies and it will be breezy. An afternoon high near 23. Meteorologist Kyle Tucker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Wellman Plumbing at 402-434-2400 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-434-2400.
Load up on meat and more this winter at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through February 18th is 15% off chocolates, 15% off wines and spirits, and $10 off filet mignon per pound. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
Attention! For the entire month of February, Acres has John Deere packaged oil and filters for 15% off. John Deere engineers its oil filters specifically for large ag equipment and commercial and residential mowers. With premium materials, these filters meet the unique demands of your farm and acreage. Following a strict maintenance routine with premium John Deere oil and filters ensures your equipment will run efficiently for years. Visit your local Acres store to start shopping today.
Hey guys, Austin Norman here. Join me and Jay Foreman this Friday, February 14th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Complex for weigh-ins for Saturday's The Heart of the Lion boxing event. Weigh-ins are at 6 p.m. and the public is welcome to be there. That's Friday the 14th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Complex at 1555 Yolanda Avenue, just off Cornhusker Highway.
Mulberry Barbecue now has a brand new second location to help all your lunch and dinner cravings. Stop by their newest location at 6125 Apples Way near Lowe's off of Highway 2. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burn-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Mulberry Barbecue open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway and now at 6125 Apples Way in South Lincoln.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
We are back here during On the Block. Austin Norman, Jay Foreman with you. We're headed to our VIP line brought to you by Aloe Fiber. We welcome in Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, I assume you are looking at the same snow that I am. Are you at least dreaming of some desert sands in the near future, or are you stuck with the white snow off your driveway this week?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to Arizona, but I mean, nothing says baseball season like a little snow blowing and putting down salt and all that. So I'm glad, Nebraska gets to go down there and playing some good weather, but it's a good thing this isn't a home series.
Hope springs eternal, and apparently snow does too in early February. So we'll get back to Husker baseball here in just a minute. A couple Husker football things to get out of the way. First, let's start with the official hiring of Mike Eckler as the special teams coordinator. Evan, $625,000 salary, which, okay, don't really care about the salary figure, except that it's kind of a big deal, right? A big investment for Nebraska on the special team side. Hasn't reached that in a long time, if ever. What does that level of investment in Mike Eckler tell you about what Nebraska needs and expects from him in his first season in Lincoln?
Yeah, I mean, I think one in general, it says the cost of a quality coach continues to go up. I mean, it used to be that was the kind of money you'd give to a coordinator, 15 years ago or right in that range. And then certainly, I mean, Eckler has his body of work would suggest that this is what he commands on the open market to come back to Nebraska and try to translate what he did at Tennessee. When you talk about really being a top 20 sort of special teams unit in most metrics, I thought the punt return and the kickoff return numbers especially stood out. The lack of having kicks blocked, like they very rarely got in their own way, and then they were able to swing games in a positive direction as well. And of course, anyone who follows Nebraska football knows that that's been a struggle for them for a long time. So, I mean, Nebraska made it happen with the salary piece, and we'll have a chance at some point to talk with Mike Eckler and kind of see what his reasons were for coming back. I'm sure money didn't play no part in that decision, but how much of it was him wanting to come home and work with Matt Rule and all these different things, the Will Compton sort of recruiting him back to Nebraska, maybe that played a part as well. But I think too, it's just a reminder that, Nebraska continues to invest in what it views to be top staffers in their areas of expertise, whether that's on-field coaches, whether that's nutrition with Kristen Coggin, whether that's, strength training with Corey Campbell, a lot of the other different areas. They really have invested in their staff more really than any other Nebraska coaching staff has before. So will it turn out? Will it produce on the field? That remains to be seen, but clearly the investment and willingness to go out and get top proven commodities in those areas is something Nebraska's been after.
Ultimately, the answer is going to be both, so I will just get that out of the way before I ask this question. But in year one for Mike Eckler, is it going to be more important to prevent some of the negative plays that killed Nebraska's drives and directly led to points for the other team, or would it be more important to create some more positive, explosive plays for Nebraska?
Yeah, I think both eventually. But in year one, start off with taking away the catastrophic plays. Start off with, if you can eliminate the block kicks for the most part or entirely, if you can prevent an opponent from flipping the field on you through a punt return or a kickoff return, that's a heck of a place to start. Nebraska may have won a game or two additional last year if that's all that they did, if they just sort of played even with the opponent in that way. Now, eventually, of course, you want to get to the point where you have a dynamic returner, and maybe Nebraska finds somebody in that realm. You want to get to the point where your culture on special teams is such that starters want to play on that third unit. It's not just, second and third team guys trying to sort of ease their way onto the field. It's guys who can make a difference and know that they can make a difference in a limited number of snaps on one of those third units. So I think it's a year where you set the culture, you set the high energy, you set the expectation for what it's going to be. And again, if through the addition of a new long snapper, you can eliminate some of the block kick situations, and you can really limit, again, an opponent's ability to flip the field on you, then I think Nebraska feels like that's a great place to start. And if they can build on that from there, then, man, you're really cooking. And especially in a time in the Big Ten where it seems like every game comes down to the wire, every game comes down to a play or two. If you're able to hang on special teams and maybe make that the play or two, again, that's going to swing games and can swing seasons. So let's start off with eliminating the bad, and you can work on toward adding the good.
Mike Eckler hired, again, that $625,000 base salary. A couple coaches get raises. One of them is Rob Dvorak, who I think did a pretty darn good job with the linebackers this year. But then Donovan Raiola, that's a guy that Nebraska kind of took a chance on, right? Had never led a position group on his own, especially not at the college level. Again, gets a raise. He's now making double what he made when he first got to Nebraska. How do you assess the job Donovan Raiola has done in his first 2 seasons in handling the challenge ahead of this offensive line?
I mean, I think he's done a pretty good job. I mean, think back to when Matt Rule decided to retain Donovan Raiola and the kind of the outcries that came from the fan base saying of all the coaches that they could hang on to, how would it be the guy whose offensive line struggled? And I think in hindsight or in the moment for Matt Rule and company, they saw that a lot of that had to do with a changing offense and just a lot of moving pieces that's really hard to adjust to as an O-line. They saw something more in Raiola, and, lo and behold, I think he's coached him up the last couple of years, especially this past season. They had a veteran line. You didn't see a lot of issues with penalties. You didn't, I mean, for the most part, they stayed healthy. And I think he's recruited pretty well too. When you look at some of the players, especially in that class a couple cycles ago, that are maybe just starting to come around, the Grant Brickses and the Sam Sledges and some other guys who are coming up. I mean, that's kind of the next wave that he was able to snag and bring in. So, I mean, I think when you talk about talent acquisition, they've done a good job with the line. If you talk about development, I think you've seen that as well. I think guys like Ben Scott got better. I think Bryce Benhart got better late in his career. You can kind of have some examples of that too. So, somebody who I think loves being an offensive line coach, and Nebraska loves having him, and now his salary is a little bit more reflective of the performance he's put out there and how Nebraska feels about him too.
Hey, Evan, Jay Foreman here. I know that you talked about the 3 new contracts, and obviously with Eckler coming on as special teams coach, but I still think Coach Holgorsen is a part of that as well. Talk about how important it was to get that continuity, right? Whether it's Butler as DC, Holgorsen as offensive coordinator, which will allow Matt Rule to do what he does best, and that's obviously be a CEO and then be able to coach every position.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that was sort of the theme of this offseason was, Nebraska is going to go into 2025 with 3 new coordinators. And while that's not ideal, what is ideal is that you have guys leading each of those groups that have proven track records of success, and guys that, for the most part, you can leave alone. I mean, you can let Mike Eckler do his thing as special teams coordinator and know that it's in good hands. You can let Dana Holgorsen do his thing on offense and know that he's done it before. He can identify, he can scheme, he can call plays within the flow of a game, and he can handle that. And I think, defensively, you could say the same thing about John Butler, who 2 years ago was in a conversation to be an NFL defensive coordinator. But that too, I think that one is a little interesting too, because it's going to be a little more collaborative with Phil Snow there, longtime DC for Matt Rule previously as a head coach, and then Matt Rule himself, who has, I think, probably his strongest track record on the defensive side of the ball. So that'll be maybe a little bit more of a collaborative effort with those 3 guys there. But you're absolutely right. Like, the goal, especially in modern college athletics, is to let your head coach be that CEO. Let him do a lot of the other things that really weren't on a head coach's table 5 or 10 years ago, recruiting your own guys and worrying about rev share breakdowns and where that goes, interacting with boosters and raising NIL money, like all these things, letting your head coach think big picture about the trajectory of your program. Like, these are all strengths of Matt Rule's, and now he has a staff in place when it comes to the specific stuff, the football stuff that he trusts, guys that have had that success before. And it's going to be really interesting to see how that translates onto the field next season.
We're talking with Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald, again with us on our VIP line, brought to you by Aloe Fiber. Let's switch over to Husker baseball, Evan. A lot of Major League Baseball teams are reporting for spring training. You've been in it already, right? It's basically season start time as of Friday. Let's go back to Will Bolt's press conference for a few here. First of all, he mentioned that they seem to like Caden Brumbaugh leading off and playing second base. What does that mean for Caden Brumbaugh, battling back from the injuries? And then the follow-up to that is, what does that mean for a guy like Rhett Stokes?
Yeah, I thought Will Bolt was pretty clear in his press conference about Caden Brumbaugh as that guy who could probably be that starter at second base, leading off, really mature with the strike zone, high on-base percentage guy. You want, obviously, that kind of person at the top of your order. Stokes is interesting because I think he's sort of that super utility player for Nebraska, where if you think back to last year when Josh Overbeek was hurt, Stokes played some third base. He can obviously play second. He could play shortstop. I think he has some experience previously in his career there as well. So a guy like that's, he's still super valuable as a midweek guy who come in or play a matchup or a hot stick, whatever it might be. Like that's a guy who is going to see plenty of at bats for Nebraska. He was a Big Ten Player of the Week last year, so he can go off at certain points. And you have to have that kind of versatility, I think. I thought Will Bolt laid it out pretty well in his press conference that ideally you want maybe 4 or 5 guys who you just can sort of pen in there on the lineup card, and they're going to be in there every day. And then you're going to have a handful of guys that you rotate based on matchups or health or how hot somebody is. And I think Stokes is a great example of that, as a guy who can play different positions. He's done it before at a pretty high level. And so I think there's this recognition within this team. It's an older team. It's a more mature team, that even if you're not in that starting lineup on Friday, you're going to have a significant role in what this season turns out to be. So I think it's a reflection of depth, and I think it's a reflection probably of culture too, that this isn't something that's going to upset sort of the locker room at all. I think these guys get it, and I think they both know they're going to have a say in how this season goes.
I'm glad you brought up that comment from Will Bolt too about the kind of entrenched guys you want to be able to essentially Sharpie into the lineup. Where are those positions, do you think, for Nebraska, those entrenched guys to start the year, and where will Nebraska maybe cycle through?
I think shortstop would be one you feel pretty good about. Dylan Carey being that guy every day. I think Josh Overbeek at third, Hogan Haligso at catcher. We're already up to 3. I think you want to have Case Sanderson in the game every day, maybe whether that's at first or DH. He was an outfielder for him last year. And Riley Silva, who's a senior, who's an ultimate kind of table setter with speed and on base. And then I think Nebraska would love it if Gabe Swanson and Cale Frost were those guys. We saw Swanson toward the end of last year be that guy. Frost certainly was at South Dakota State last year. So maybe that number ends up being higher, as you kind of sort of speak it out. It could be closer to 7 guys fitting that description. But I think certainly they've got at least 4 or 5. They feel good about Brumbaugh, but Stokes could have a say there at second base. Sanderson at first. I think Tyler Stone is going to get some run there as well. He's a returning second team All Big Ten guy. And then, I still think at some point a guy like Max Butenbach is going to force his way into the conversation. He was so dominant in the summer and the fall that I don't see how Nebraska can keep him out of the lineup consistently with what he's done. So maybe some of it's going to come down to what some of those other guys do. But they're just I think they're in a really good position here where you're not trying to fill out 9 and stretch the lineup. You're at 11 or 12 and trying to figure out who it's going to be on a given day.
Evan, you mentioned Max Butenbach. I wanted to ask you about him specifically because of, one, being a local product, but then number 2, how that bodes well for the development of young baseball players in this transfer portal. I need superstar guys instead of high school kids. Talk about his emergence and what that means for the Nebraska program overall.
Yeah, he's got a potential to be a really cool story. I know the coaches joked in high school he may have never actually taken a baseball visit. He was always with the football guys. He was a running back in high school at Southeast and I think liked football a lot, maybe considered playing that. but baseball was his better sport. And so he comes in and mostly sits last year as a true freshman, and then does what most college players in that situation do. They go out in the summer and they just try to log as many plate appearances as they possibly can. And so he went to the Northwoods League and, I mean, just raked out there for power, for speed. At Nebraska last year, he was sort of a reserve catcher, and they're thinking maybe he's more of a corner outfield type moving forward. So, he's going to get his chances this year. He's one of the more, I think, dynamic bats in the lineup. Certainly, if he's there in 26 and moving on, like when you think about guys like Frost and Swanson graduating at that point, most likely, I mean, I think that's when it really becomes obvious that he'll be a mainstay in the lineup. But that could happen this year too if he performs to that level, and kind of carries over what he did in the summer into this spring. But cool deal for a local kid for sure. Nebraska was on him early. He was a pretty early commit. They identified him, and he wanted to stay home. And those stories are always fun. Just one of Nebraska's best teams from the 2000s had a ton of local guys that made good and were able to connect fans and to that team. And so I think Buyuktuncel has that personality and certainly the skill set where he's going to be a guy to watch here this spring for sure.
A couple of guys you mentioned, Evan Case Sanderson is the guy that I know I'm high on. Nick Saintert's high on. I'm sure we'll talk about him more and more as we go throughout the season. I do want to bring up Cale Frost here before we let you go. Will Bolt brought him up specifically in an answer. I think he was asked about Gabe Swanson, right, managing the ups and downs and not chasing accolades, not chasing stats, but staying locked in on an at-bat basis. And Will Bolt mentioned that Cale Frost's ups and downs have kind of come since joining the team. Is that something that, when you hear Will Bolt answer in that way, is that something that should give Husker fans pause about, hey, maybe this guy is going to take a little bit to adjust to the level? Or is that more a comment of, hey, our pitching staff's really good. Cale Frost is dealing with this on a day-to-day basis. This is helping expedite his development to the speed of the next level up in baseball?
Yeah, I think when he came in the fall, he had a pretty slow start to his fall. His red-white series last fall wasn't all that spectacular. And he would say, and the coaches say, he was kind of pressing at that point as a guy who was new to the team to sort of prove himself and establish what he can do. I think a lot of that sort of smoothed out as the winter's gone on, and here in the ramp up, I think he's had a better 3 weeks of scrimmages and things like that. So, I think some of that's just the transition phase, but I mean, that's a guy who hit 20 plus home runs in South Dakota State last year, and they weren't all Summit League games. I mean, he played against some pretty good opponents last year as well. And, he wouldn't be, I don't think, in that conversation as a starting outfielder if he hadn't shown what he can do even in the last month or so. So I think he's one of those guys that you look at. I would put Gabe Swanson in that group as well, as a guy who means more to this lineup because there are so many guys in it that are good table setters, guys who can get on base, who can steal a bag, things like that. But you got to have some of those run producers too. And so if he can approach what he did last year, if Gabe Swanson can approach what he's done the last couple of years, that's the thing that kind of unlocks this offense for Nebraska. So he's got the potential, in my opinion, to be their most impactful addition in the transfer portal era, as a guy who can come in and really change things and change the look of that attack. So we'll see how it shakes out. And then incidentally, because of that junior college ruling in the NCAA, he could actually come back for one more season after this one as well. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think right now he has the potential to be someone who can really change the look of that attack for sure.
Last one for you then, Evan. Nebraska, of course, first pitch of the season, Friday afternoon at the Major League Baseball Desert Invitational, and then a Monday game against Grand Canyon and nearby Phoenix as well. Whether it's record, whether it's stats, whatever it is, what are you looking for out of Nebraska baseball to consider it a successful opening weekend?
Well, they're playing three teams that were in the NCAA tournament last year. A lot of the coaches participating sort of view this invitational as like a regional at the beginning of the season, where you're playing different teams, pretty talented teams. Of course, you don't really have a great sense of what everybody has because of all the turnover. But, I think if you can at least go 500, I mean, San Diego State hasn't been a very good program. You feel like you probably need that one. And then if you can take at least one other against Irvine or Vanderbilt or Grand Canyon. I think that's probably the minimum of what you'd be looking for this weekend. I think more on a more of a micro level, the pitching part is what's always intriguing to me early in the season. Is you establish roles and sort of confirm or not what your view is on guys from the off season. It's always a little different once the lights come on and the games start to count for real. So, can Mason McConaughey really emerge as that ace for the first time? Can Ty Horn step into that Saturday role and show that the gains that he had in the summer and the fall are real and translate over? And then, guys like Will Walsh and Jackson Brockett, the seniors who've been through the ringer a few times and kind of come out the other side, can they be reliable pieces too? Like, that's where I would start. It feels like pitching is the strength of what this team can be. And they're going to get a chance to prove it on this opening weekend against some lineups that are pretty decent.
And what better place to do it than Thin Air, Arizona, hitter's paradise, right?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be warm at least. And Arizona, that'll be interesting. It's been a while since they've been down kind of in a spring training style situation. So it's not the end all be all. They've had losing opening weekends and had good seasons before, but you'd love to get off to a good start because of the RPI ramifications for sure.
There it is, Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald breaking down some Husker football and baseball with us. Evan, hope your driveway stays ice-free, right? Let's keep the salt on it. Stay safe out there. We'll look forward to your coverage on Husker baseball and chat again about it next week.
Sounds good, guys. Appreciate it.
Evan joined us on our VIP line, brought to you by Allo Fiber, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. We'll go to break, wrap up on the block, get you set up for old school in just a sec.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
What's going on, fans? This is Lexi Rodriguez, four-time All-American at Nebraska and now proud member of Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League One Volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players, and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering us on in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action this season. Go Big Green!
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Right now, when you drive by Honda of Lincoln, you'll see more than 200 new Hondas and over 125 pre-owned vehicles. Hi, Charlie Stone here, and with me on the line is Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, how does it feel to have so many vehicles in stock again for your customers?
Charlie, it feels amazing to see how excited our customers are. They love the ability to see, test drive, and take immediate delivery of the exact new Honda they're looking for.
Do you have some good offers to talk about?
We sure do, Charlie. We're offering financing as low as 0.9% APR up to 72 months or great lease rates on every new Honda. It's the perfect time to drive away in the new Honda you've been dreaming of.
How about pre-owned, Andy?
We have over 125 pre-owned and certified pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Just about every make and model with prices starting at under $10,000.
Maybe it's time you experience the best, the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934. HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Doren. God bless you.
Load up on meat and more this winter at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through February 18th is 15% off chocolates, 15% off wines and spirits, and $10 off filet mignon per pound. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
We're wrapping up On the Block. Heath Strickland's with us in hour one. It's Austin Orman and Jay Foreman for now. Should have the three-man weave back in effect tomorrow ahead of Nebraska, Maryland at 7:30. Final segment of the show brought to you by Love Volleyball Omaha. Their season runs through April, but get your tickets today at lovboma.com. You'll have your chance to see Olympians, national team players, national champions, and more at the Liberty First Credit Union Arena in Ralston. Again, visit lovboma.com. Jay.
What up?
Dan Hurley.
Yeah.
Talking his hawk.
Yeah.
To Creighton fans on the way out.
Yeah.
You about it? Do you need to tone it down?
Nah, man. You the two-time, you the double champ, like Conor McGregor says. He back-to-back champ. He can do what he wants. Yeah. Until proven otherwise.
2 rings, Baldy. Hey,
yeah.
bye-bye. 2 rings.
Yeah.
2 rings.
Yeah. I mean, they gave him the business and he ain't forgot, and he's a wild boy, man. I mean, I don't mind it.
Is he the best coach in the sport, like he claimed a couple weeks ago?
I think so. He's definitely one of them.
He's top 5.
I don't necessarily know. I guess I would say he's the best going right now. I don't know if it's hard to say he's better than Bill Self. It's hard to say that he's better than some other guys.
Tom Izzo.
Yeah.
Mark Few. Kelvin Sampson.
Definitely Izzo. I mean, but he's up there. There ain't no doubt about it. He can coach. He can coach his butt off, man. And he can coach in this climate. He can recruit in this climate. And he definitely can develop in this climate. And his personality, his players don't mind it.
I do want to shout out the unquenchable fire of the spirit of Bob Knight for reinvigorating Indiana last night. Tom Izzo has a chance to beat Indiana and pass Bob Knight in career Big Ten wins. Indiana goes to East Lansing and says, not so fast,
not
my
so
friend.
fast. Yeah. Mike Woodson too. He's a good dude, man. I know he's struggling right now. Know Mike Woodson a little bit, and really good man. And you know, he's been able to go back and coach at his alma mater, and had some good teams, some good seasons. I will tell you this: interesting connection with Dan Hurley. I'm reading. If they would have got the freshman that scored 38 points to stay at Indiana, Mike Woodson still is probably going to be the coach next year. That was a huge loss.
It was.
And paying old boy in the middle $2 million, and he comes in 10 pounds or 20 pounds overweight.
And then you have to DNP him because he's out too late at night.
Yeah. I doubt they gave him that money with the understanding he was going to go to, where's Indiana? Bloomington.
You were just there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Trying to forget.
Yeah.
Bloomington gave you the business or something?
Yeah, no, 56-7 or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah, but that's Indiana football, Nebraska. I'm talking about Bloomington, the city.
No, I was with Nick. Anyways, I don't think that they gave him that much. I think those are the 2 biggest factors why he's going, because when he left, it was late in the recruiting class.
Yeah.
Or recruiting cycle. Not that they would be, but they would have a lot more wins and they'd be a lot better off. One's controllable, one's not controllable. How old buddy has decided to come in and be grossly overweight and lethargic and lazy and not what they paid for?
That's a player.
And it's controllable.
Mm-hmm.
You can't control somebody leaving your recruiting class to go to the 2-time defending national champion.
I still just don't fully buy a Liam McNeely to make that big a difference because I don't know if I fully trust Woodson would have empowered him like Hurley did. I mean, McNeely probably replaces Luke Goody in the starting lineup, and clearly McNeely's the better player.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't have any confidence that Woodson would have unleashed him, even if he would have been better for the team.
Well, maybe
that's my hang-up.
Yeah, that's probably what you told him, and now the reason why Mike Woodson has to resign.
That's my fault.
Yeah, you probably that's the same
my
thing.
Fault. I should my fault.
Yeah, he came and contacted you. What'd you think? And you told him that same thing. He's like, all right, I'm going to UConn. Mike Woodson would have let him flow. Matter of fact, I know he would have. He actually told me.
If you want to blame anyone, I'm not the one that actually met Mike Woodson when he was here in Lincoln. Okay, so
I didn't either.
But we know who did.
Nick.
We know the culprit. I wasn't going to put him on blast, and Nick wasn't the only one. I'm just saying. I was rooting for Woodson. I didn't hate the hire. I didn't like how he coached, but I didn't hate the hire. Don't put that on me.
Man, these kids changed their mind, but it's all right. Mike Woodson will be all right, though.
He will. He'll land on his feet somewhere.
Yeah.
Hopefully sooner than later. We are going to land on our feet on Old School. Big thanks to Nebco for sponsoring On the Block. We'll be back with you tomorrow from 3 to 5. Lots to get into there, including Nebraska and Maryland. Can the Huskers get back against the Terps here at the Vault? We'll get into that and plenty more tomorrow. We should have our first shootout with Strick that might turn into shootout with Jay. We'll have to see. Break it down between Strick and Jay. That'll be at 3:45. But for now, we'll send you to a quick break. Old School. I'm with Jay when we get back.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you, whether it's your home, your family,